Oh my God, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, to this day is too savage for Anthony Joshua's. That's what I want to talk about in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I am back with some more boxing. Now, Fight Hype has an interview with Stephen Breadman Edwards, and he made a comment. He basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, that Wilder is far too savage for Anthony Joshua. So I want to just react and give my thoughts, and I actually agree with him. I mean, I've always thought this from when Joshua was undefeated and Wilder was undefeated. I always thought that Deontay Wilder would beat Joshua. But I feel even more so, despite them both having lost their titles and both having been stopped before, I still feel that Wilder, even more so, would win the fight with Joshua because he seems to have a different mentality. I don't know what it is, but it seems like Joshua, after his, I guess you could say, worst career moments, it seems like it took something out of him in his confidence. Like, I used to watch Joshua when he was like 14-0, 15-0, and he was a wrecking ball. He looked athletic, his speed looked better, and he was just like brutally knocking out the guys on the way up. Now, part of it could be because some of those guys were like journeyman style fighters, so that might be why he looked so good. But I still think even in terms of athletically and stylistically, he looked a bit snappier and just more confident overall. But then after he got dropped by Klitschko, it was almost like we've seen a regression from Anthony Joshua. Even though he came back to win that fight, the fact that he was hurt and, you know, probably embarrassed because of the knockdown, and it took several rounds for him to come to and come back to his senses, it seems like these moments in Joshua's career, these down moments, have taken a toll on Anthony Joshua, at least from a confidence standpoint. More importantly, his first professional loss, when he lost to Andy Ruiz, a late replacement, that was probably the worst guy to lose to. No disrespect to Andy Ruiz. I actually really like Andy Ruiz, but the perception of it was this short, fat guy beat you that was brought in late terms. That's how people were labeling it, you know? So I think that particular loss had a big impact on the trajectory of Anthony Joshua's career. Even though he came back and he beat Ruiz, I think Ruiz beat himself by eating and not seemingly taking the second fight as serious with his newfound fame, and it came back to bite him. Nonetheless, Joshua, to me, didn't look great in that fight anyway. They were in Saudi Arabia. He was like just boxing and moving, and I get it. You know, he came from a loss, so it does take something to come back from a knockout loss and correct that. So I do give him some props for it, but it just doesn't look like the same Joshua that we've seen from the past. Now enter Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. He's always maintained the same confidence that he wants to fight Joshua, that he would beat Joshua, and looks like him and Malik Scott are working on something. And I try not to look too much into triangle theories, but sometimes they might make sense, right? Not always, but some of the comparisons, there may be a point within there. And that's what I see when we look at Wilder, who recently fought Robert Helenius. Helenius had a full camp with Wilder, and Joshua fought him after Dillian White failed a drugs test. So Robert Helenius didn't have a full camp with Anthony Joshua. Now, when I look at the two performances, Wilder knocked him out brutally in one round, and Joshua's face was all busted up, bleeding. He was bleeding into Conor McGregor's liquor and hopped out the ring, just weird stuff like that. And it wasn't the performance, despite having a climactic ending and Joshua eventually knocking Robert Helenius out with one shot. It really wasn't something, especially when you consider Helenius had just fought the week before in a small fight, and Helenius was winning with like a light jab and stuff like that. It was not a convincing performance by Joshua. So I agree with Breadman. Wilder is extremely dangerous, and this new timid Joshua that is appearing to be like conscious of getting knocked out and throwing less punches and doesn't seem the same confident, I think that version of Joshua would be even worse for Wilder. That's my truest thoughts. Drop your thoughts in the comment section, and I'm out.